Hello, my name is Gage, and thank you for clicking on this video. This is the first iteration of the TheCager's Chess Championship, which I host regularly on Twitch. This is essentially a multi-round tournament. We have 10 contestants for this one, and it is by elimination, one round elimination. First, we start with regular chess, and then we go into giveaway chess, and then we have a fun little finale for the final two contestants. But if you want to go ahead and join this tournament, I host it regularly about once a month. Go ahead and join the Discord, and you will be able to get the information to be able to join the next one. But thank you for clicking on this video once again, and enjoy the show. Bye. It is time for a tournament today. All right. This one is going to be pretty what? Oh my God. It's going to be pretty scuffed. I'm going to be real. But we will get it. Okay? This tournament is going to be scuffed to all hell. But we will have a tournament. All right? I was going to wear a tie and a blazer, but sadly, I could not, for the love of God, find it. So, that's okay. We have the tournament bracket. We have it set up. It will be fantastic. Hopefully, everything runs super smoothly. Let me set up the first game. I imagine people will drop out. All right. The fear of this tournament, it's striking. You know? So, first, round one will be rapid 10-0. One game. If there is a tie or a draw, it will move into blitz. What's the prize? The prize is 1, you get to feel good about yourself. 2, some people are in the running for mod if they win. Ziggsy, looking at you. King takes e4, also looking at you, buddy. Dublin, if you want it. And also, for the next week, all of your messages will be highlighted in the channel. Which, I mean, that's fun. I can find other things to give as well. Okay, then the first matchup, since both players are here, will be Robin versus Dublin. I will send y'all the link and we will get it set up. Dublin versus Robin. It will be electric. A true fight of challengers. The game has begun! Okay. All right, our first matchup, Dublin versus Robin Ist. Dublin has the white pieces. Let's see what he begins. That's crazy that it started. If it goes. Yeah, but yes, please mute, as I will be commentating. All right. Please begin. This will be an electric tournament. Watch it get aborted, and then we have to... All right, Dublin opens up with d4. Goes with d5 from Robin. Okay. And we have a Queen's Gambit declined. We have the Albin counter gambit, which, fun fact, was the opening that Borgov played against Beth Harmon and the Queen's Gambit, which is kind of funny. Borgov actually did play the Albin counter gambit against Beth Harmon in the very final round of the USSR Championship. And you take on d5. Takes with the Queen. And now follow-ups. You can't exactly bring out the knight early, as this pawn it can be taken. You can bring out here, but that can be pushed. And we shall begin. Okay. And he takes the pawn. Robin Ist is up to a 1-pawn lead to start, and offers the trade of queens. Okay. So now Dublin is no longer able to castle, but he does have a 2-knight advantage in the center. All right. He does have a slight lead in development, but now it is equalized, and Robin does have a pawn advantage. Okay, so pins the knight to the king. Now, this would be crucial if these double isolated pawns could take effect. But also, you may need to get castled. Personally, okay, brings the pawn to the center to add extra support to the center pawn. Now, I imagine both moves might go here or to castle, but you do have to be cautious about trading here and getting the doubled pawns. Now, typically, you don't want to trade a knight for a bishop just out the gate. I'm in analysis mode. I did not know I could do that. I apologize. How do I get out of analysis mode? Is it still continuing? It's now a white screen. Okay. I believe it is still fine. And he plays knight to d. Why is it white screen now? And we continue. Yeah, I refreshed. Don't worry. All right, so we have a trade in the center, and now the knight is being hit by the pawn. So you can either go for danger levels and push this pawn yourself, which does not actually work, but you do have to move the knight and then probably lose the advantage to castle. And the knight drops back, re-attacking the pawn. Ooh, okay, we have some tactics on the board, and now the game has been equalized. Okay. All right. I could have just whatever. The game has now been equalized. The one pawn advantage that Robin had in the first few moves are now gone. But both kings did not castle, and this will be going down immediately to an endgame where Dublin has to play with his own isolated queen's pawn, which can be difficult. Strategies with black are to kind of blockade the queen's pawn from ever moving forward and trading off itself. So ideas immediately attacking the rook, that is also totally good. You need to remove the defender of this pawn. You can actually go here and kick the rook one more time, but this pawn will be hanging. So let's see how it plays. But ideas in the queen's pawn, or isolated queen's pawn, is you need to blockade it, prevent it from coming forward, and then play off of that. All right. Personally, I do like the black position a little bit more, because this pawn is going to be a target. This is a fantastic move, as it allows you to actually get the rook into the game. I'm not sure if it would have been better to go either way, but this will at least allow you to bring support to the pawn in the center. But at the same time, knowing that your bishop is lined up against this pawn, it might have been better to go this way and maybe also have the opportunity to attack it like this. Okay. So now Robert is doing one of his first big things, and he brings the other rook to the center. This is very principled. Both rooks to the center, knight on an active square, decent pawn structure to counteract the dark squared bishop, and the other rook is brought to the center. Now, probably drop the king back. Principled move. Now you have two targets on this. If you are able to remove the rook from its defense, you would be able to take. Also, got to be cautious about this pawn push. I do believe that this would neutralize the weakness of the isolated queen's pawn. Because now he's now able to trade. Trade. And that is good for him. All right. Is it me versus Barat next? I would need to double check that. Hold on. Uh, Luffy, are you in? Because I have to go. Did you sign up for the tournament, Luffy? Sorry. Okay. So takes in the center. Now, the weakness of the isolated queen's pawn has been neutralized, and now it is a clean, equal pawn structure. 2-on-2, 3-on-3, bishop versus knight in game with two rooks. This is a good move. Getting the knight to a more active square while also opening up both rooks to the file. Now, this can be a good move. Getting your rook immediately on the second rank, trading the rooks, okay. I mean, that's also totally fair. This looks like it might be headed towards a draw, but we will see. And Dublin has immediately offered a draw to Robin. And after this, if a draw is offered, they will go into a 3+0 blitz match. And then if that is drawed, it will be a 1+0 until a winner is decided. Okay? But this is the position. So far, I think white does have a slight advantage. Gives a check. Either side works. I would probably lean towards the side with the more pawns, but definitely need to get the king more active into the game. Now, I do think that the king has to get off the back rank and more active into the game. I feel like this is a little bit slow because there are less pieces on the board. The king needs to be more active and take space. It needs to come kind of over here and try to put pressure on these pawns and maybe march along with its pawns over here. That's my quick synopsis. All right, I could be wrong. I'm not the greatest at chess, but okay. So, advancing this pawn with with a tempo on the bishop, this kind of would allow the king to start getting off the back square and maybe start pushing along the sides of the pawns over here, kind of sticking on the light squares to counteract the dark square bishop. And he does that so. 15 sit-ups. All right, I will commentate while out of breath. I will still do sit-ups during this tournament, as this will be fantastic. Now, bringing the rook back there, I'm not sure if that's the most accurate, as the bishop does kind of block it in from coming into the center. But it should be okay, because at least they will be able to rotate over to g3 and attack the pawn, and then there will be more threats. So knight to b4 attacks the pawn on a2, and also threatens the check on d3. Active knight move, I do appreciate it. Okay, immediately kicks out the knight, gives a check, which hits the pawn on f2, the pawn on b2, and the king. Now, the king needs to be more active. I will say that much. I would have personally gone to c2 and tried to get the king more into the game. I have absolutely done more than 15 push-ups. 15 sit-ups, sorry. All right. We will continue. Okay. And the knight goes to e1. That's a very interesting move, as the knight can absolutely get stuck. And what's nice about this move is that it both acts as a defense of the g2 pawn and an attack. Hold on. Give me a second. All right. So this is the move that I did expect. Now, the one thing that I was mentioning about bringing the rook all the way back here is now that this bishop kind of locks it in, it removes the spaces. So it might have been better to bring the rook down here and over like this. But now you'll be able to pose threats, at least over here, hitting this. But this pawn does become loose. I'm not sure if you can take right away. You might be able to. And then it can go this sort of line. Yep. Goes for takes. Now probably exchange the bishop. Okay. And now black does have an advantage here, purely because these pawns are connected. Now it's going to be difficult for them to push up the board, as these pawns do act as blockers, but I'm out of breath. Goodness. Okay. All right, and now you are pushing the king forward. But notice how early on in the game, it would have been better to bring the king. It would have already been better to start this march, but now you're starting it. This move could have been dedicated to others. All right, b4 has been played. This pawn is still weak, hard to advance it. This pawn is protected. Now this is going to get interesting. Thank you for the cheers, Spinny G. I appreciate you. So this is a good move. You need to get the rook behind the pawns in games. It might have been better to go all the way up, but I can see... Okay, so it's going to be another trade of pawns if that is the line that they decide to do. Gives a check first, defending the pawn, and forcing the king to move either way like this. The king goes over here. And I like what black is doing with the rook, kind of cutting off the king from this side of the board, and the pawn gets pushed. I'm not sure if this was the best... Okay. This pawn is going to be hard to defend. But I like what black is doing, kind of cutting off the white king from this side of the board. And this king is very active. It's going to pose threats on these pawns for the entire bit, and the king cannot go over to defend it. And now, probably either pushing or bringing this king over to attack this pawn may be the best bet, but definitely keeping the rook here active and cutting off the king may be the best decision here. But white can get active, and it could be a weakness over on the a7 pawn, so it will be a foot race. So black is now coming down to g2 to attack this pawn, and a trade is offered. A trade is forced, frankly. Takes. And black brings his king up to attack the rook. The rook drops back, continually putting pressure on the a7 pawn, and I actually do like white's chances here. Black breaks out with a5, and now this is probably headed towards a draw. After this game, can you view the roster? Yes, I will view the roster. We will give constant updates. But this game is basically headed towards a complete draw. I'm not sure if there is any way to kind of make progress here. And the game has been agreed to a draw. And now Dublin and Robin, y'all will play a 3+0 match as a tiebreaker. And if that goes into a draw, it will be a 1+0. If You can maybe switch the colors, but okay. That is okay. We will continue. Same opening as before, the Queen's Gambit, and we got the Albin's Counter Gambit. As I was saying before, this is what Borgov opened with against Beth Harmon in the final match of the USSR Championship. Now, the main line goes take, yes, and now we're seeing that. Earlier, white took cx d5, and then the pawn is pushed. The knight generally comes out. This pawn gets brought up to prevent any checks from this file coming. This knight acts as both an attack and a defense. Typically, the move goes like this. There are other lines as well, but you do have to be careful. This bishop can become a problem very quickly. This is 3+0, no time bonus. Okay, so black brings his pawn to c5 to defend his pawn in the center, and white immediately goes and breaks up the pawn structure. And this pawn, it can be won back. Well, actually, no, I don't. This pawn can be won. This does not work, as this knight can now come here, blocking the check and also defending the pawns. I believe what white needed to do here was to take the pawn in the center. But now, this pawn structure is kind of diabolical looking. This pawn is still protected by two pieces, so this isn't a true threat in this position. I imagine moves now would be trying to kind of, this is a fantastic move, defending the pawn and now anchoring this pawn on the fourth rank. Breaks out in the center. En passant is forced, so we know what the next move will be. And he does not play it. That's an instant resign, and you're actually banned from the tournament. I apologize. Okay, so you play f6, which is very interesting, but the entire idea is to kind of give up that trade to advance the knight. But now, I believe white does have e5, which seems like it would be effective. Setting up e5 with a more aggressive move like this. Defends the pin, and now this pawn is available for the gobbling. So, right now, this pawn structure is crazy, frankly. I have no idea what's going on. I'm trying to explain it, but I am struggling. I have never seen a game like this. Why are we doing this? This is yeah, Albin counter gambit. What is happening with this man? Okay. Now I imagine some moves may be okay. Also just breaking up the pin, and now this is an added defense here. But it also does remove a defender technically. Drops back to both defend this pawn and maybe open it up for discovered attacks if the king were to castle. Black is playing incredibly symmetrical. I do like the progress that black made over on this side of the board with the pawn play. The pawn play is going very well. And white is kind of struggling to defend both of these pawns as the threats are constant. So white takes a step back after being attacked. And black is playing incredibly aggressively. So now the bishop is seeing this diagonal, but I'm not sure how effective it really is. I'm not sure what black's next move may be. It could be to try to win this pawn, maybe bring the king out or the queen out to this square. I'm not sure if castling is ever really good here. Whoa, okay. That, I believe, just loses a bishop. It might have been a misclick. I am not sure what the game plan was here. Because that is just a free pawn. I don't see any follow-up immediately after this. This may or may not be a misclick. Because I don't see the follow-up idea. And now white has easy development of the bishop to d3 and then to castle. Is that a... And that is a resignation. So our first tournament win goes to Dublin Dragon. Fantastic. Yeah, mouse slip. That is unfortunate. But that is what has to happen in these ruthless tournaments. The first winner, Dublin Dragon. Fantastic. All right. Now we are moving on to round two. Hold on. Let me go. Transition. None of this is right. Oh God. 6-7. And the game has started. Watch. All right. We shall begin. Spinny G versus Luffy. Let's begin it. What the f did this? Okay, so E5. Just F5. I don't know what, like, opening this is. But we have this position after the beginning. And play goes like normal. This is... we are going for some crazy shit here. Okay. All right. So Luffy is 326 and Spinny G is a new 800. Okay. And we are beginning. Y'all are playing rapidly. Reminder, this is a 10-minute game. Did they actually miss mate and one earlier? And now the rook has fallen. What the f is happening? This is going to be... we will give it a stretch. This will be a very quick game. Okay. Okay. this is insanity. I could continue to... I don't know what's going on, man. I'm trying to figure that out myself. So immediate trades. When you're out of material, you should trade. Frankly, I wish... So they missed checkmate and one on move 3. This was a mate and one. That is what happened. Which is actually insane. That there was mate and one on the board on round 3. Or move 3, but that is okay. Alright, so another piece falls. A doubling rooks here would be a solid strategy with white. Black, I don't think there's any chance for black to get out of this game. This match with the rating, yeah. Fastest mate win. It almost happened. Now, immediately, there is a tactic on this rook that you can win. And there is no way that you can defend it here. That's when you... and he's going for a checkmate. Which he does have. Well, not technically. Yeah, okay. And now, this would be checkmate. If it is played. It would still be checkmate. What a game. What a game. That was rapid. Definitely. Okay. Now we will go back to the bracket and update it for, I'm going to, I can't change Nix the Bunny's name, but he will continue. And now it is Luffy versus Barat 9105. Oh, you have to go now, Luffy? Bro, okay. Then, thank you for the net. Thank you. I appreciate it. So, Luffy won, but he's gone. So, I now have the Cager hat. And the game has begun. The game has begun. Okay. All right. The game opens with a Sicilian defense from Derpole. Barat with the white pieces, E4. Okay. We're going Alapin Sicilian. This will be very interesting. Let's see how Depole responds. Now, I don't know that much Sicilian theory. I'm currently studying it. I wish I could provide more feedback on playing e5 here and then bishop out as well. But sadly, I do not. But this could also turn into a fried liver if the position sort of opens up like this. Okay. So bishop to e7 and then castles. White is already fully castled and black is one move behind castling. So this move strengthens the center and also opens up the bishop for this diagonal. That is solid play. Okay, yo, Eddie, gourmand, give me my fridge back. I don't have a fridge. All right. White plays d3, which both protects the bishop and allows the dark square bishop to get out on this diagonal, even though I'm not sure what the best case scenario is. So typically against a6, a4 is always like a move that you can play, since you want to prevent b5 from coming with tempo on the bishop. E5 is a move, but definitely it's a sideline since it creates a hole on d5. Yes, this hole can absolutely become a weakness. It might be a little bit difficult to reroute and get the knight here, but it can happen. There's also this reroute, but I'm just drawing so many arrows, people in it. All right. So now we have bishop here, which immediately locks eyes. Now we have double pawns in the center, which actually does alleviate the hole on this. But one thing about this pawn moving is that there is now a hole for the king. So attacks can brew, but at the same time, if it goes like this, the rook will then have this open file to use. We will set it up. Teach Shoot, resubscribe, dude. Thank you. I appreciate you, man. It's a minute. You don't chat much, but I definitely do recognize your name. Thank you. All right. So black plays h6 here, which I personally feel like is a slow move. I like I think knight to f6 was far more natural, and then to castle afterwards, because white just continues to get easy development, but and then you go like this. But now this pawn will be a weakness. So if black plans on castling, this knight could move out of the way, and there can be sacrifices to happen on this square. But the bishops do protect this. Yo, you join then. All right, so this puts pressure on this pawn and this pawn, so it kind of makes it a little bit difficult to push, as there may be tactics as two knights are hitting this square. I do like this move, as now there is also a hole here, which can be strengthened with moves like this. And then that would just be a solid outpost for the knight to just kind of sit for a good chunk of the game. And this isn't a boring game. There's a lot happening. Wow, okay. So now this exchange happens, and the knight does have to move. This is not a good square. It may look like, oh, you're moving the knight in with a tempo, but the knight can't retreat. So if it gets attacked with a simple sidestep, the knight is lost. Yeah, but sorry, Nix, dude. It sucks that you missed out, man. But there will be another tournament. All right, so the knight sidesteps to the edge of the board. Personally, I think maybe bringing it to the center might have been better here, but there's also still other reroute opportunities like this, because you need to get the game is happening on this side of the board. But there is I believe that there may have been a chance. There is a tactic here, I think. I could be incorrect about this, but I believe hitting this pawn with both this and also hitting this pawn here, which is a weakness. This pawn is hanging. There is no piece protecting it. But after this, a move like this exchange could occur. The knight could jump here, and I that okay, you know. That today I went to the adoption shelter to get a new cat. Adopted a black skinny cat. Hey, dude, you got a new cat. Who cares if you played in the tournament? So white does actually make the move to queen to b3, which does hit this pawn and this pawn. Now, I do think that b4 has to be played to remove this weakness, and to kind of interpose the idea of this weakness, because if you go here, danger levels, this pawn isn't hanging yet if the knight is being threatened. So the knight has to move before this pawn can be taken. But this is a very tricky move. But I do think that b4 is the only way to actually counteract it, as you can't. It's hard to you can't add a defender to this pawn and save this one at the same time. And I don't believe there are any other counterattacks that would work here. There is some ideas of an interesting line here would be pawn to c4, and he does play b4, which I believe is correct. Now it could go take take, or the knight can just immediately jump to this square, again hitting these pawns here. And what's good about this is that when the knight jumps, one, this pawn cannot be taken, because the queen will be exposed and will be taken. So knight jumps here. This pawn move cannot happen, as this will be a hanging pawn. But at the same time, it's not so clear, because here, push, takes, and then you could take as well. And this pawn is only defended by one piece, so we'll see. But it's, yeah, either rotate the knight back or bring it more to the center. I personally like bringing it more to the center because these pawns can be weaknesses. But at the same time, knight to c2 also still allows this pawn to be a threat. So we will see. But this is definitely an interesting position. I'm curious to see how white's going to play it out. The b pawn is pinned. Yes. Oh, so this knight technically isn't threatened, but at the same time, I would like the knight to a better spot on the board, you know? It's not pinned because, it could be hit like this, but all right. Peace out, Luffy. Have a good one, man. So the knight does drop back to c2, which doesn't necessarily open a threat on this pawn, as there are still two defenders, and a third one can come, but this pawn is still hanging. This pawn is still weak. And it would be difficult to actually defend this pawn while also protecting this pawn, as these pieces kind of struggle to rotate over to defend it. So a counterattack, oh, but this immediately runs into this. The thing is, just drop in the knight back, and the position is okay. But now I believe you can take. I believe you can take this pawn. And if you take back, you can take with the knight. Because if queen takes, you could take with check. Yeah, knight can't take, and if queen takes, you could take this knight with check, and you would be up a pawn in that exchange. But this is yeah, goodness. Okay, and now this is a threat. So you might actually be forced to go into this line where you have to defend like this. All right. Now, okay, Barrett did see the line. Okay, thank God. I got a little bit scared here. And now this pawn is undefended, and it will be a little bit difficult to kind of continue from this. Okay, so white is in a thank here, but this is a key decision moment. So it is definitely appropriate to spend your most time on this move. And you go rook to b1. Okay, this does defend the pawn, but after moves like this, it becomes more and more difficult to defend it. And after like rook to b8, I'm not sure how you would go about actually defending the pawn. You do have moves like c1 if you're really focused on defending it, but I'm not sure. Because there is a line here where you go here, and then you try to defend it like this. Probably not the best because take, take, and then you have back rank. So that does not work. Uh, but I do think that rook to b8 is the next move in this sequence. I'm not sure if any other moves have a line here. Now, there is also bishop to d2, which kind of attacks the queen, but I'm not sure if it really succeeds in doing much. But at the same time, Tripole, he's got 4 minutes left. Barat does have a minute up on him on the clock, so this can get very tight if it goes into time trouble. So Tripole plays rook to d8, which confuses me. I now an idea here. Ah, man, I actually do not know this idea because it doesn't. If you're trying to push here, I saw this move, and you defend like that. This can get very tricky. What are the lines? Okay, so the only reason this rook is defended is because of this knight. So if there was a way to deflect the knight from the defense of this rook, that would be winning. But as it stands, I don't really see anything. Maybe a move like d4, trying to go for some things like this. But you always got to be cautious about the back rank. But I don't think it works here because you do have the rook on b2. So we're seeing, okay, drops the bishop back. I do think that a move like d4, kind of using this sort of sacrifice, might have been the correct approach, as I'm not sure kind of where the position continues from here. Now, you do have to see that this pawn is a weakness, but I'm not sure how you can actually attack it and or defend it at the same time. So, but this is definitely probably the closest game that we have played today in terms of it's up in the air. But I do think that the clock is absolutely going to be a weapon in this because there's too much murkiness in this game for it to. There's always this move. I'm looking at d4 constantly just because it can lead to some very tricky things. And now you go for a queen trade, which I do support because you are up a pawn, but it may lead to a draw position. Makes e4 pawn weak. Yes, but at the same time, even if this pawn is a weakness, this knight can never really move. And I don't know. It can definitely. d4 worked on the previous move too. Yeah, because the whole issue is with when the queen is here, if this knight is ever deflected, yeah, because the knight is stuck defending d7. So some ideas after seeing that the only defender of the rook is the knight, you can kind of think about moves like d4 trying to remove the defense. And if takes like this, your knight is now in a better position. Your queen is still here, and you're threatening all those stuff. So after ex d4, bx d4, you threaten bishop x f6. Yes. Yes. You are correct. Hydrate. I will hydrate. I appreciate you. This is getting this is getting tough, dude. Hmm. I don't know what that move accomplishes. Oh, and you run into that threat immediately. Like the players are just kind of shuffling their pieces back, but I feel like Derpole does have more attacks that can drain Barrett's time. And I think that might be You don't like tourneys too much of a time commitment. Totally fair. Actually, that is totally understandable. So the queen rotates over here, putting pressure on this pawn, which that is good vision. This pawn is a hanging pawn at the moment, and he defends it. Now, you could go for a move like this, which I think is pretty fun. I'm trying to see if there are any other ways to kind of poke and prod at this position, but yeah, okay. So he continues the attack. I believe that you might have been able to play. I actually don't think so. Okay, so the queen drops back here. Now, what are some ideas that. Um, the position is very murky. I don't see how either side kind of continues it. And this is fully going to be a time trouble thing. So advances the pawn. Now, that is true. In this position, this pawn is the main objective. If you can get it up the board as fast as possible, you will win the game. This is your only advantage in this position at the moment, is being up this pawn on b3. Okay, so playing aggressive on this side, I do like the counterplay on the side of the board. This can get tricky. So the queen comes here, putting pressure on both the bishop and the pawn. This can be hard to defend. But I'm not. I think maybe a move like this or this could work. This would also give you some more eyes on the pawns over here with a move like queen to d2. This one also works, but you do have to be cautious about being exposed on this file. Okay. So this does work. This move isn't readily available, but it is something that can happen. And this move also kind of prevents the bishop from being able to escape, allowing you to push the pawn. So I do think that queen to d2 might have been better here, as you could have dropped the bishop back and continued to push. CPL, getting it figured out. So the knight drops back. One of the key attackers, there was absolutely an opportunity to route the knight to this square, where it can put pressure on this pawn. So now the rook comes to the more appropriate square, and it is hit like this. Okay. It might have been good to, and now the pawn advances, which is the main idea. You are Trump player. I mean, politically, eh, chess, Trumpowski is lovely. Oh, wow. Okay, we had a crazy exchange in the center. The pawn finally advances to d5, and then this pawn it was able to be taken. And we have more exchanges. Okay, so black takes with the bishop and rotates like this. This is getting crazy. Black is now up just a clean two pawns and just up a clean two pawns and putting pressure on this knight. Where does the knight go? I don't see any advances with this. And this pawn is still absolutely a passed pawn. But now there's more weaknesses on the board as we move into time trouble. Derpole is shuddering. I would absolutely trade that knight off immediately. And then now your goal. If you can trade off the queens, that would be huge, as this would just be a huge weakness going down the board. But you hang a pawn. I didn't actually see the pawn hang. And now your rook is also getting hit. This is getting down to the wire. Okay, so brings the rook all the way over to f1 to add more defense on this pawn and also to keep everything tucked while you advance the pawn over here. I'm not sure what better move there might have been. I would immediately push. I would try to get this pawn down the board, but it's proving difficult now. But that's a free pawn. You can't do it immediately. But you got to look at the time trouble. Dopole has 12 seconds and there is no bonus time. So if Barat can play just fast enough, he will absolutely win this game off of time. And he pushes like that. Great. Immediately stopping the defense of this pawn. You just need to play fast. But dude, this pawn is coming. I think you did have an opportunity there to play gives a check. As long as he can keep the time trouble up, there is absolutely a chance. But this pawn is coming. And I'm not sure trades the queens. Fantastic. Loses the queen. Oh, shit. That's game. And takes fantastic. Damn. Wow. Okay. What a game. What a finish. And Barat moves on to the next round. Dude, so many exchanges happened towards the end, but the time trouble is what got to you, Derpole. But that is the reality of this tournament. But you played fantastic. Good game. Well played. Let's go and update the tournament standings. Bracket. Barat is moving on to the next round. Submit the scores. All right. Now we have Zigzy versus Xanderall 2000. This matchup is our highest rated matchup in the tournament. So this one will absolutely be a sight to witness, and I am very excited to see how the game goes down. And then after this, once we move on to the second round, it will actually be giveaway chess, which will allow harder matchups like this, Dublin versus Zigzy. You know, that's a 700 rating point difference to be more even. Because giveaway chess, I don't know how to play it. I don't think they know how to play it. It will be very interesting to see. And they are off. All right. And the game shall begin. Now, Xanderall, it does say that he's a 228. That is a lie. He is 2000. He's a 2000 rated player for all intents and purposes. He is using his alt account because he doesn't have access to his new account. But that's okay. It is what it is. Just know that Xanderall is a 2000 rated player. And Ziggy opens with the Sicilian defense, and it goes main line. This is actually the Dragon. Ziggy is playing the Dragon Sicilian, one of my favorites, with the inclusion of A6, which kind of works like this. Okay, this is I don't think this is the Dragon anymore, but this does work. It's the Dragon. Yeah, it works. Okay, y'all are playing rapidly. Let me get over to chat. Okay, holy shit! Every move has been made within 10 seconds. Just to understand that this is mainline Dragon Sicilian theory. And the reason why this exchange is always sometimes questionable, why you don't necessarily want to trade the knight here, is because when this pawn comes here, this knight has way less mobility. It kind of controls the knight movements. So before, the knight would have been able to come here and try to trade off this knight. But now, with this pawn here, the queen can tuck behind here, and it could go like this. Now, Xanderall, something that I've noticed is that when I was playing as black against you and we played the Sicilian, you played this exact same setup. The C3 knight's mobility is less, yes. And the B file is open. So there are moves like this. Yeah. Another factor to why that knight trait isn't that great is one, this knight can come here, and the rook can slide over to the B file and put pressure on this pawn. And also white has a space advantage, so trades are not good. CPL speaking biblically. All right. Speaking biblically about the position, understanding all the ins and outs of the Sicilian dragon. So plays an aggressive move like A4. I do like this move, but it may become difficult. Hydrate. I need to get more water. I have a brief intermission between round 1 and round 2 where I will go and fill up my water because I am thirsty. I am yapping more than I ever have yapped before. But I do like A4, trying to take as much space as possible. But I feel like this can become a weakness as this file can still open up and there will be lines like this. I'm not sure if A4 is the correct approach here. I'm curious to see if F4 can be played, trying to open up the center like this, if more pieces are put into kind of rotating over and trying to play for a kingside attack. But because typically with black, I want to open up my bishop on this long diagonal and bring pieces to here. Right now, I feel like rook to b8 is an instant move. I would play that virtually like 9 times out of 10. This would be my go-to. And then maybe try to play for this and go for the pawn break in the center. Once this pawn is protected with an advancement, you can bring the bishop out maybe if trades happen. But the bishop right now is doing its job from this square. It may, you want to connect your rooks and everything, and rook to b8 is played. This is, I believe, the continuation of the move. So now you do need to defend this pawn. I don't believe there's any lines where you can sacrifice it, but a common move that is played is b3. And the reason why b3 is kind of something that you want to avoid playing is that this bishop becomes all the more powerful. So immediately after b3 is played, you will have ideas of sacrificing the knight to get this exchange off. Quite right, quite right. Yes, yes. And b3 is played. So this is a weakening move, as this bishop gets a lot stronger. The light square bishop really doesn't have a role in the game currently, and it can't reroute, put any pressure on the king. It can't really ever come to here because, yeah, granted, this move I don't think works here at the moment. Now, ideas kind of include getting the center pawn break to happen, because once pieces start moving, this knight will have the opportunity to just reach out. I'm not sure if this move played right away works, but I think it does. I think this was needed. I do think an immediate d5 is the critical line here. Because now, if you look at it, if this trade occurs, one, there's a black pawn here threatening this if more pieces were added to the attacking square. And also, the queen now sees the knight. So lines can come up where the knight can get sacrificed and the bishop can take. So b3 is extremely committal. It may not be an immediate problem, but may later be an issue, yes. As this line is deadly, and the trade occurs. Okay. Now this can get very interesting, as there are a lot of lines here. I actually think that knight to e4 may be a winning move. Forking these pieces and also bringing this to here. And one major thing about that, and you play b. Oh, I think you could have played this, but you are setting up this. I want to look at this move just a little bit. So if you were to play knight to e5, this pawn hangs. It does not work. I will be quiet. And the bishop comes to b6, putting pressure on this file. Knight x d5. Does knight x d5 work? What are we talking about? Did Zigzee miss the immediate knight x d5? Here! Fantastic observation, actually. But does it work? So if it goes immediately here, and then let's say the knight takes, I guess, yeah. Knight takes, you do have to take back the knight because your queen is getting hit, but then the eyes do open over here. But I'm not sure if there's a follow-up because he could just move the rook and the position seems fine. But there is this threat, actually. I do think that this line might have been, it could have been played. Because take, take, and then black's rook, or white's rook is getting hit. Move has been played. I will get to it in a second. And once you move it, you can go here and have this skewer. Okay, let's continue. So after bishop to b6, the queen moves to here, and then the immediate queen to e2, putting pressure on this pawn. Another move has been made. The knight hangs. Oh shit, I didn't even realize that the knight hangs. And Xanderall has blundered a knight in this position. I don't know if there's a recovery to this. Bishop takes, trades, and takes another pawn. All right, we are now at the live game. Hey, Xanderall did hang a knight, and now the game is like this. But white does have some compensation, so the game's not immediately over, as there are still two connected passed pawns down the end of the board. So it can be very difficult to actually make progress here. But at the same time, pieces can hang. Yeah, black is definitely winning. Being up a knight here is huge. So instead of rook 81, it's probably better to go bishop h6, but I don't think the dark squares are weak enough to give comp for the exchange. I got you. Black has two central pawns as well. Even though he's up a knight, he still has this, which is crucial. The play of the game will probably continue on this side of the board. But goodness, will it be difficult for white to make a recovery here, being down a knight? Because everything is just so solid. The rooks are where they belong, defending the pawn. The queen is infiltrated on this side of the board. Now, maybe moves like this, kind of just immediately putting pressure and preventing the pawn from really making progress. I'm trying to see if there's any more obvious moves. Oh, I guess there is an immediate knight to d7, which would hit the bishop. And since white doesn't want to trade, it's going to be difficult to defend this pawn, as if the bishop moves, the pawn will fall. The Void. This is a tournament. Oh, I thought that was a hanging queen for just a split second. I'm hosting a viewer tournament at the moment. We have a bracket set up, and there will be a winner. After this, we will play giveaway chess. But right now, this is our two highest rated players. Xanderall is actually rated 2,000, not 228, and Zigzee is 2325, which is our number one seed in the tournament. But Void, yeah, no, this is you love giveaway chess. It will be so interesting. I think it will completely balance the field for ratings, and I will be able to set it up. So the pawn advances. Immediate go for the trade, and that's forced, is it not? It could very well be forced after a move like this, or a move here. So if the queen comes up, and the queen trade happens. Now, Zigzee, oh, and he loses, it does, oh, but there's an immediate fork. I missed this. I'm gonna be honest. You could barely comprehend it, but it's so fun. Yeah, no, that's the entire idea. Yeah, you have to try to lose by stalemate. You must take all the capture. Yeah, we'll see it happen. But yeah, this fork is devastating as being up a knight becomes more and more apparent. I imagine if you want some compensation, taking but shit, whoa, and this game is all but over. Well played, Ziggsy. Absolutely a crushing performance. Wow, what a game! Absolutely obliterating Xanderall, which put up a very good threat, but losing the knight on c3 was it's very hard to recover from that. But so going here, that's also another reason why b3 is very committal. You look, he got nervous. Hey, that's all right. But here, the decision to try to attack this pawn loses the knight, and that kind of decided the game. All right, time to go to the bracket. Ba 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 bam. All right, we have one more game, and then we will go to giveaway chess, submitting the scores. We have King takes e4 versus Ken. Now, I am really hoping that both of y'all are here. I know King takes e4 most definitely is, but I'm not sure about Ken. I really wish Ken was here. It kind of sucks. Oh, yeah, it kind of sucks that he's not. This was his time to shine, you know? So, we need somebody to take his place because it does not appear that Ken is here. All right. So, King takes e4. You will play against GM Hikaru Nakamura 394. We have the final match of round one. And we have, is this a Vienna game? No, I have no idea what's happening. I'm already lost. I don't know this opening, but okay. I wish chess.com would tell me the opening, but here we are. Okay, let's us continue. So we have sort of like a King's Gambit type of mix. I believe this is the Vienna, but I'm not sure if the Vienna is after d4 like this. All right, so the bishops come out, pieces are developed. This pawn is still hanging. I know the Queen's Gambit, and now it's protected. I know with the Queen's Gambit, the entire idea is to allow this take, but I know the King's Gambit has been disproven. It's the Vienna Gambit. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, I thought it was the Vienna. My apologies. So the bishop pins the knight to the queen. Uh, takes, double the pawns, but also opening up the file for the rook. We saw this earlier that this exchange. Okay, so immediately takes like this. We saw that this exchange earlier limits the knight's mobility into the center. So even though it is doubled pawns, the knight is still controlled. Giving yourself isolated double pawns is a questionable decision. Okay, so now rotates over to go here. I would still avoid playing b3, but I think here might now be okay as the bishop is no longer on this diagonal. It is still a very committal move, but it might set up other moves like c4. And castling is still nice as you can try to deflect the knight from being in front of this pawn. Going here defending is very interesting as you kind of want to bring the knight back into the game like this, but you also have to see that this pawn is hanging, but not technically. So it will be very interesting. So king takes e4 does castle. And now I'm looking at moves like, yeah, castling as well. I feel like this battering ram can do justice. You might want to even try to make some sort of trades. You do have this line, kind of forcing the exchange of the bishop, and you can slot your knight here, which could be very useful if defended properly. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what is happening, but it sounds like a plan. Hey, that's totally all right. I'm just trying to commentate the best I can, but and have fun. So now I would you could maybe try to double the pawns here. There's also ideas where, okay, sets up like this, but that does leave some dark square weaknesses over here, but I'm not sure if that's where the game is going to be played. So it seems like, okay. Ches, do I still play or you are eliminated? I forgot to mention it is a single elimination tournament. We will have more variations of it in the future, but not for now at the moment. So immediately with this pin, and this could lead to doubled pawns virtually like right away. Gives a check. Take, slide the king over. That's my idea. But doesn't take. He's arguing that the bishop is now kind of in a weird position, and this is still powerful as it was before. And this, I feel like black has a lot of pawn weaknesses. So it's going to be very difficult for him to kind of show his advantage. And the attack that's going to be roaring down on the king side of black is going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. I would almost immediately snap off this bishop, mainly because you have so many dark square weaknesses that the bishop's going to be able to hop around. But even then, but maybe take double all the pawns and go into an endgame. You would actually be winning a pawn here in this line. Take, 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 take. And then you would also have a threat over here. Takes the bishop. Undoubles the pawns. But that will leave another target. I would take the knight immediately. I wouldn't think about it that much. Takes. And now the pawns are going to be doubled, and this is going to be a winning endgame for white, I believe, if he takes the queen. Yes. Double pawns, you win this pawn, you're immediately attacking this one, and you have easy threats on this side. This will be very interesting. A very interesting game to see if king xe4 can recover from this. Because this is a loss of a pawn. And he protects it like this. Your pawn structure is very solid. I would probably immediately bring the other rook because black's pieces don't have any way of infiltrating. I would bring the other rook almost immediately to the open file. And then you could start playing some unconventional moves like this. Oh, maybe even try to rotate over here now. Okay, defends it like this. I'm not sure if this is the correct approach because now his pawns are defended. You might have wanted to try an infiltration over here, but I am unsure. You could even start pushing the other pawn or bring the king. Bringing the king is very principled. I believe that is correct. Because now it's going to be a rook and pawn endgame with all of the pawns on the board virtually. So bringing the king to the center of the board, playing alongside here, like this would be criminal if the king can get over to the c4 square. Ooh, this is interesting. This is an immediate attack. I don't know how you defend it. Yep. And this pawn will fall. You can trade it off, but it does seem like the pawn will fall. I do not believe. Yeah, this attack did not work. Nvidia, hey, long time no see, dude. We're running a tournament. This is the last game of round one. I'll update the bracket, and then I got to go use the bathroom and grab myself some water. And then we're going to be playing giveaway chess for round two, and we have 4 exciting games there. Immediately put it back, and then attack this pawn, or bring the king up 1. That is also totally principled. Attacks the pawn over here. A move like a4 works just as good as any other. And you also have lines like this, immediately hitting this pawn, maybe trying to get here. Maybe you want to advance the pawns on this side of the board. Black is trying an infiltration, maybe try to get to d2. It's a good try, but it does leave this pawn weakness, and he has to move it back. And now, if anything, you could bring the other rook, or you can advance this pawn as well, and try to remove the king from the defense of this pawn, or maybe try to open it up like this. The computer offers the weirdest yet most logical moves every time. TheCager, win tournament again? Probably sometime next month. I believe CPL did pin or not the registration, but the fact that the registration is closed. But we will have it again. So this pawn hangs. So just immediately take a7. Takes with check. What? What? What is happening? Why did you do that? No, the game was in your hands. You just needed to take on a7. King xe4 with a roaring comeback. The game is now anybody's. What? Holy shit, what a change. Immediately attack the pawn on c2, and then once it doubles, you can go here and win the b pawn. Holy shit. The game is completely winning for black. What a change. I was not expecting that at all. And then immediately this pawn is lost. But so is this one. And the pawn is still going. It can get very spicy. You take here. I don't think you think about it. You gobble all the pawns like you're Pac-Man, and these are your ghosts. Or not the ghosts, but, the little pips that you get for points. But dude, that is a paid, paid. What CPL said, paid actor. What a mistake. This did not work. Oh man, okay. So now playing with the white pieces gives a check. Just take. It takes back, and then you just put your king right behind that pawn, and he has no advantage. He has no moves. You could take here, but you're up a rook. Honestly, go here. Yeah, win these pawns. This pawn is not going anywhere. You can win this one. It can get very tricky, but this is completely winning if you take. He has no way of defending it. But I do understand the concern and having to actually think about it because you don't want to throw the game away. You don't want to accidentally let this pawn slip. Take another pawn. Take the other pawn. Just gobble them all up like it's ramen noodles. And then also start trying to push this. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Rook behind the pawn. Beautiful. If anything, you might want to cut off the king and try to promote your own pawn. Lovely. Can this go into a draw, though? Yeah, no. It is no longer a draw. This is the critical move. A5 was the only move there. Not anymore. And you can let that pawn go. This one is going. Oh man. And there is no way to defend it. Well done. What a comeback. And this pawn just promotes. GG's. Oh yeah, take the pawn. Let's see the master at work. If this goes into a stalemate, please, I beg you, just do some knight opposition stuff with the king. Please no stalemate. You played a fantastic game with a crazy comeback. A totally unexpected too. I was not that was just a full win too. I beg no stalemate. And that is game. GG's. I applaud. What a comeback. Wow. Dude, way to turn that around. Oh man, with the unfortunate take here. The game was in your hands. You just needed to take this pawn and the game is completely winning. That is tragic. The game is completely winning from this point. You have 3 passed pawns, but white decides to take, losing the rook. Wow. GG's. What a game. And now we go to the standings. We go to the standings. And king takes e4, moving on to the second round. We are now on to giveaway chess. What is giveaway chess? Your goal of the game is to give up all of your pieces. Captures are forced. So I will be right back. All right. It is time for the games to begin. Delicious. Delicious water. All right, we shall begin. It will be Dublin versus Ziggy for our first matchup. We shall begin. We shall begin. The time is 3-2. I mean, I'm not going to be able to provide much information on this, but all right. Good luck. I wish you the best. This game will be won for the centuries. So Dublin opens up with, I don't have board numbers. Dublin opens up with H3. We will see. Remember, the goal of the game is to get rid of all of your pieces. So and the thing is, the knights are very tricky. But he just straight up blundered. All right. And now the knight is forced to take. And you are forced to take back with the pawn. And now you'll notice white's rook is staring at the pawn on h7. And that is a forced take. This will be very interesting to see how this goes. Because you don't want to run out of time. Fantastic move. But, no, that is a fantastic move. Forcing the trade. Oh, but good exchange. And now there are no more captures on the board, so we will see how the pieces develop. Right now, Ziggy is winning, as he is down a knight as well. Giveaway chess. An electric game, might I say. We will see. En passant is forced. In this scenario, it is forced. I love that. Literally, it actually is forced, not even as a bit. You have to take en passant there. Oh man, okay. This is electric. But right now, Ziggsy is in the lead because he is down a knight. All right. Literally forced. Actually, like, it's very funny. All right. Interesting move, but I do like the B3 push as it doesn't actually open up any lines for pieces. The bishop is not going to go to A3 because it would be forced to capture. But you do have to think here. How do you win this? Where is the next continuation? How do I force him to take my pieces? Because none of Dublin's pieces are looking at anything. So you really do have to think about your next move. You do have to play a little bit quicker. This is a blitz. I wouldn't want you to run out of time. I really hope you didn't get kicked or banned. But getting banned would be crazy. And you play D6. All right. D6 opens up the bishop on this diagonal. I'm going to start drawing arrows. Opens up this diagonal. So if he were to put a piece there, force take. This is also a force take. But now you can immediately get rid of the queen. This is a force capture. And the thing is, he's just going to start. You're forced to take. You're forced to continually take everything until there isn't a move. That is an amazing move. Does it lose by force? Does it lose by force? You had a strategy for black, but not for white. In this case scenario, we are going to do a best of three. Okay. How many games do we have to play? We just have 4 people left. So this will be a best of 3 scenario. Yeah. We will make this best of 3 to give players a chance with both pieces. And we have time for it. Hey, Tripole. This game escalated so quickly. Yeah. The bishop got into the back and then it was just forced captures all over the place. You have to take the king. There's no choice. You have to take the pawn. There is no choice. You have to take the bishop. Yeah. I don't see white winning here. It would be a miracle if and resigns. All right. And now the rematch. This is a best of 3 to give chances on both sides of the board. I will do a best of 3. I have re-invited both of y'all. Because this game will go faster, this will be a best of 3. This is crazy, right? So how do you win this? You get rid of all your pieces. Yes. You have to get all of your pieces taken, and captures are forced. Online playing, Dublin. I want to watch. Watch. Yes, we're back. Okay. We're going to watch from Dublin's point of view. All right. This is game 2. Ziggsy now has the white pieces and Dublin with the black pieces. And Dublin said that he had a strategy here. But notice how pieces are being taken. Okay. That is a forced capture. But that is a fantastic counter move. Instead of taking the pawn here, which would allow Dublin to get rid of more pieces, he takes the one over here, which forces black to recapture with the rook. Amazing decision making in this electric game mode. Now, how does white advance from here? Because the knights can be very tricky, but the bishops can turn into Pac-Man. That's off to that move. Fantastic decision, right? That is the move of the year. It will be in every highlight. And when I win streamer awards, you hate giveaway? Dublin, no, you got this. Lock in, dude. Come on, please. Can you take? No, you cannot take your own pieces here. Okay, so this will be a force capture. The next move. This is a force capture, but that's the thing. Taking here was a little bit too soon. That this is a force take. This is going to get very tricky. Black, now this can still be captured, but this, they will have to capture here. There will be this decision. I do think taking the rook might be the correct move, as black would have to retake the bishop no matter what. Probably with the king. I think the king would be a better decision. But I do think, because bishops can be very scary, I do think that taking with the king here is the best, or not taking with the king, taking here and then going like this. I believe this is the best continuation. As getting rid of your bishops, as we saw in the last game, they can be devastating if you could just keep continually put pieces in front of them. But Ziggsy is doing his longest think of the match. Losing on time here would be devastating. Dublin talking mad shit in the chat. Take my wife, you bitch. And take for the king. The variation that I said. Now there are no more captures on either side, so a piece will be have to moved. Yes. All right. I'm not sure how to develop from here. Fantastic move. Now if the king were to ever move, this capture would be forced. And I'm not sure how to really continue. Maybe just a simple pawn move like this. I do not know. Because you don't want to move any piece into the line of sight on another piece. Because if black simply goes queen here, white can go here, and then this capture is forced, and then everything will get gobbled. Fantastic. Good exchange. Now, this game is really anyone. Even though black does have a queen and a bishop, anything can happen here. And black resigns. R.I.P. Black resigns because it is probably going to lead to forced. You could just make a move like this. Well, then take. Why did you resign here? Is it a forced loss? Okay. I will absolutely take your. Oh, you could probably just go here, and then it's forced. Gobble everything. Yeah. You move, or you just move the. Oh, good point. Actually, I will be quiet. Y'all know that. Oh my God, I'm trying to remove my arrows. But that is the first game of round two. The first game of round two. All right. We shall begin. Go over to the bracket. Our next game will be against one. Ziggsy moves on to the finale, which will be, I'll announce it in a second for those who do not know. Now we have Barat and king takes e4. I will get the game set up. And Barat is here. The game shall commence. Shuffle it random. Barat will start with the white pieces. King takes e4 will be black. Let's begin. All right. This will be electric. The final game before the finale. A forced pawn capture to start the game. Now, how do you continue and develop? Take the pawn. Forced captures all around. Taking with the knight is the correct decision, as if you take with the bishop, there will be a lot more forced exchanges. Kedra said no one is getting paid, that we are all getting a pack of peanuts. Dude, hey, airplane peanuts or like caramelized almonds. Okay, let's continue. Now, I do not know any openings in this. Okay, nothing at all. I wish I could explain it. Develops the knight to f6. Forced capture. This is a forced capture. This is also a forced capture. Amazing moves by Barat. Or not by Barat, by King XC4. This is also forced. Holy shit. Dude, this is crazy. Posture check, I understand. What gameplay by King takes e4? And now he can legitimately just move a pawn, and you have to take the queen. It is forced. Wow. What a start. And now the game continues from here. This is a forced capture. But now this is also a forced capture, and the queen gets into the game. You have to take. And yeah. And then every piece is going to fall. This may be a forced win. This is a forced take. But it's not at the same time. But at the end of the day, everything will go downhill. Yeah, you have to take, and then he could just keep on moving his king over. What a game. And this will be the end of round one. Fantastic. King takes e4. Wins the first match. All right. Lovely. Yeah, and you cooked. I am now re-inviting y'all, and we will go into the next one. All right, now king takes e4 will play with the white pieces, Barat with the black. And begin. All right. Now this will decide who plays in the championship round, which will be a four-player game. Four-player chess, two-player, four-player chess, as I would like to call it. All right. Now, something that I'm realizing in this game mode is that you could probably use your knights as hooks to get pieces out and into the open. Like you take that, force capture, and now the rook is going to have to take the pawn. Beautiful. Thank you. Stretch. I got you. Wow. And that pawn is forced to gobble everything. And now the rook has to take. White with an outstanding beginning. Going absolutely ballistic. Oh, but that queen is in. But so is the rook. Pieces are going to fall. Everything is going to fall. I still need to keep my posture check. Oh, goodness. Every piece is going to come flying off the board here. It will become Pac-Man. Beautiful move. Beautiful find. Even though you are down. Oh, no, you're winning. Right. You need to get rid of your pieces. I short-circuited there. All right, force capture. And this is also a force capture. For either the rook takes or queen takes knight. Either work. Well, either are half to what happened. Either are half to what happened. Of course. Now, the thing is, white doesn't have any piece that he has to capture. So that is a lovely move. And now it is a forced win, I believe. And white will take round two and move on to the finale. What a game from both sides. Giving him a chance. Maybe. No. Yeah, it's over. Well played. Fantastic. You tried your hardest, Barat, but king takes e4. After being given a gift from the gods and his rapid game, he now absolutely destroys in giveaway chess, and he moves on to the final round. The final round of the tournament. Two-player, four-player chess. This is the championship match. This is the ultimatum. This is the winner takes all final game. Let me move. Uh, shit. Uh, you can. There you go. Beautiful. It's perfect. You can see your names now. Winner takes all. This will be a best of three matchup of four-player chess, two-player, four-player chess. You get two sets of pieces. We will see who wins. Okay, hi. I'm just going to jump in here. First, I want to say thank you for making it this far. The tournament has been fantastic, and I'm going through editing it now. And I do just want to preface that the final round championship, we had to change it from just two-player, four-player chess to a bunch of different game mode variations. So if you see me jumping around from different game modes, that's the reason. So yeah, that's all I really got to say. I'm not sure if I explained it in the video, but awesome. See you. Enjoy the video. Let's begin. We will figure it out. All right. The game has begun. Okay. This is the championship match. Who will win? I'm going to add things. Every player opens with pawn to that square 3. Yes. All right. We shall begin. Now, I cannot even begin to explain what happens here, okay? I need to add something to make this stand out even more. Uh, bang. Well, um, We play checkers. We play checkers. I know it was going to be best of three, but Ziggsy, you destroyed him, and I'm not sure if that's going to be a best of three. Do we play checkers? Is it time for a game of checkers? I think we could pivot to here. It does say chess with checkers. It's just normal chess. Okay, shit. Do they even have just checkers on here by chance? Uh, how? What should we do? What game? Wheel of Fortune? Okay. What? What? Railway Derby? What the is this? We're, do we play Derby chess for the finale? Your goal is to capture the enemy king. Cross Derby chess. It is time. I don't know how this will play, but it is time for some cross Derby mother chess, baby. Oh, it's happening. Oh, it's happening. The goal of the game, I believe. Claim the central and flank space with your pawns. Keep an eye out on your king. Yes, your goal is to capture the enemy king. This will be electric. I need to remove it. Is no longer. It is no longer this. But you know what it is still? You know what it is? It is still the championship. We had to pivot. All right, who will win? Derby chess. King xe4, I've invited you. Please join. This will be electric. I have never seen this game before. I found it on a drop-down menu, but goodness, will it be amazing. Let's go. So, Zinthrax, I'm going to have you as the black pieces. King xe4, you will play as white. Let's begin. All right. 3 minutes to each opponent. No time back. We will see how this goes. All right. All right. I wish both competitors the best of luck. Will this be a quick one? Is King xe4 just absolutely built different? Oh, your goal is actually to get the knight to the other side of the square, I think. Okay, not to capture the king, but wait, hold on. Do I even understand the game mode? Do you need to get your knight to the other square or to capture the king? Do both work? This is Derby Chess Evolved Phoenix. The most electric form of chess. I don't know how to play it. You need to mate. Okay. So the goal of the game is to checkmate the opponent's king. The only squares that a knight could fall is here and here to checkmate the king. White takes. Now, this will be incredible. Okay. So pawn takes on that square. I would give notation, but yes. Now a line here that I'm seeing is knight here, take the pawn. Take, checkmate. If white was given 4 moves, that would be a game. Yeah, it's not mate just yet because the knights defend. Okay, knight develops there, protecting the pawn on that square. Protecting this pawn. All right, knight comes out to, I guess d3 to that square. Yes, I would give deeper, harder analysis if I knew what was happening. All right. And remember, there is no time back. You can lose on time, so you have to make every move electrically fast. It is a derby race after all, where the speed of the players can what it come down to? Yes. So this is threatening a checkmate. If another knight lands on this square, then a checkmate can be threatened. We will see how it develops. If this knight, can this work? Can you push this pawn? Because push, the knight can't take, because this will be a checkmate. Such true, yes, yes. King takes e4 with his biggest thank, wraps his knight back. Why? Why does he bring his knight back? This is crazy stuff. Oh man. Can pawns promote? Pawns can promote if they get to the back rank. I'm assuming only to knight, if I'm being real. So he wraps it back. Well, okay. He's now playing defense on that pawn. But that's going to be difficult. If Zigzy can get another knight to a square that would threaten here. Analysis. It better be only a knight. I know, I would be upset if it's anything else. Oh, this is close. Pushes the knight back. The knight either has to move, or he can sacrifice himself for a threat like that. We will see. We will see what it comes down to. This is electric stuff. Zigzy down to a minute 8. Remember, the time is a factor in this game. If he runs out of time, the game is over, and king takes e4 will win this round. Now, what I did fail to mention is that this is the best of 3 variant tournament. Zigzy won the first round of 4-player chess lightning fast. But then now king takes e4 when it comes down to the derby. Might take this one home. And then it'll be tied 1-1 and we go to a final match. But this is an excellent move. The game is over. He can take. He can take. The game is over. King takes e4 has won the derby race. A big round of applause. The score is now tied 1-1. Now let's go find another variant that we have no idea what to play. Let's find. What is this? I'm insane. You can search names? Oh, I can. Okay. Behind the mirror. This will be legendary. Holy cow. This will be an amazing championship. Oh my goodness. Holy shit. I am so excited. All right. King takes e4. You have been brought. Zigzy, you have been invited. There are 5 checks. This king, if it is checked 5 times, the opposite color does win. This game mode is called Behind the Mirror. What are the 5s? It is 5 checks. If that king is checked 5 times, the opposite color wins. This will be incredible. Okay, let's begin. I am going to give King xe4 the white pieces. You have 10 minutes. No time back. Shall we begin? All right. Okay. Since King xe4 does know this, that is fair. He is recommending it, and it is his playing field. Okay, so I will give Zigzy the white pieces. Is that okay? Is that all right with y'all? I want to get this good before I begin this. Are we good on both sides? Are we ready to begin? Are we ready to begin this? Well, Zigzy, good luck. All right. I don't know how to play this either. And I know King xe4 has probably played this maybe once or twice. I don't know the strategies. Let's begin. You do have a 700 rating advantage. It is normal chess. And the game has begun. Zigzy with the white pieces. 10 minutes. Yeah, plus the 5 checks on the king. So if you're able to give 5 checks on the black king, you will win the game. So he starts with pawn to board a4. You can rotate the rooks around. Kidger, would you be up for a game after the tournament? Yeah, I would be, actually. I think that'd be fun. You've played this already? Oh, dude, if you've played this more than 50 times, then this might be unfair. This might be a little bit unfair. But we will see. We will see how it plays out. This will be electric. Can we do a Jackbox tournament? that would low key be fun. Okay. So a pawn has been captured in the center of the board. Now, from my understanding, I would avoid playing on the board where your king can get checks. Dude, you have way too much. Yeah, 50 games of this is crazy. So the rooks have been traded. I do think, Ziggsy, that you will play just fine on this. Like, you will be okay. You got to watch out for the knights. You do have to watch out for the knights. The knights are protecting this bishop. Remember, you can get the knights into the game, which is crazy. I love it. I love it. It's like hit a dude to the battlefield. Yeah, dude, I love it. All right. That's one check. If four more checks are given to the white king, the game will be over. He could sacrifice and go for that check. He is going for the checks. That is incredible gameplay. High level understanding. One check, but at the cost of a bishop, though. Yes. But after five checks, the game is over. So the sacrifices. If you commit all of your pieces to this, if you sacrifice five pieces for five checks, you win the game. But double-edged sword. If you get rid of all of your pieces, you're cooked. There's nothing you can do. But you have to understand, it's only these kings. But if you take, I'm very curious. If you take this king, is it game? Does that count? Ah, shit. This is looking a little bit rough. I'm gonna be so real. No, the king isn't anything. Oh shit. Okay, this is going downhill actually very fast. I wanted to get an even playing field. Maybe we'll do best of five because I want this championship to be electric, and I thought this game would be amazing. But King XE4 knows what he's doing, man, making it far more difficult than the game would suggest. I wanted to put on even playing field. Damn it. We will find another game. And are we doing best of five? We could do best of five. You forgot what king it is? Is that why you've already checked the white king three times? Wait, which one? Maybe the one with the five on it. Hmm. But we may go to another game mode. Play a best of five. Oh, dude, I'm dumb. I should have had y'all choose. What am I talking about? I should have had y'all alternate the selection. Of course. Forgot which one. Yeah, exactly. Forgot which one proceeds to check the king three times. I should have had y'all choose the variant game modes. Go alternate. But that will be for next time. When I host another tournament, it will be similar to this, and we will have that. I think that will be fair. So, yeah, KXC4 is like, get it right. It was four. But yeah, no, this game, one more check and the game is over, which is very unfortunate. We may need to go to a best of five to get it really, because I want this championship to be something spectacular. And frankly, these games on both sides have been beatdowns. The Derby one was close. The Derby one was close. That one was fun. Derby will be a staple on this channel. Absolutely. Feeling like Nikola Jokic with all the horseplay. 15 push-ups, man. Okay, I'll do my push-ups. I'm gonna run to the but it's a tournament game, man. Ah. Okay, we're going. And the game has concluded. GG's. Excellent play from both sides. But now, I want to do a best of five variant tournament. No. Yeah, I assumed the game would end with one more check. All right. So, Zigzy, it is now your choice for the variant for game 4. This will be a best of 5. Atomic Chess. That is his game of choice. It is time to set up Atomic. Fantastic pick. Zigzy wants the white pieces. This is the 4th match in TheCager's Chess Championship. We shall see. All right. The time is 3-2. Let's begin. The game has begun. Okay. The game begins with knight to f3. Black plays f3. Knight to c3. Knight to h6. This is practice for me getting no good with notation. So the goal of Atomic Chess is your piece explode. How long will we be streaming? Probably for another hour or so. I do have things I need to get done. So I kind of like yeah, I don't think I'll be streaming for that long. I'll probably go until 9. Okay. Offering up the white pawn. I wish I knew this game better, but all I know is that the pieces just explode, man. 15 sit-ups? Oh, I forgot about the sit-ups. I apologize. Cager, I could have stopped. Yeah, you could have. And then King XE4, once given the chance, he's taking it away. Oh, man, I really want to commentate on this game. Fuck. I will do it intermittently from the floor while I do sit-ups. So the queen comes out to b6. What will the queen achieve? I don't know the strategies behind this game, but king takes e4. If he wins this one, he is the winner of the first ever Cager's Chess Championship. And that conclusion will be electric. And he will. He is in the running for mod. This is for moderator of my channel. Both of these people are eligible. Knight to e5. I'm not sure how many sit-ups I have done. I have lost count because I am engaged. Zigzy, please do not lose. Pac-Man chess for the final match. Okay. Cager, top tier commentator. Exercising while commentator. While it's commentating, yes. All right. Explosion. The pieces are off the board now. The knight has been lost. From my understanding, if bishop takes pawn, the game is over. The knight and the bishop have both been exploded. I love the sound effects to this. All right. The queen is able to take the pawn on b2, and I believe that will kind of explode everything around there. But Zigzy, you have to lock in, man. I hope this goes best of 5. It is black to move. I do not understand this game. Black retreats to c7. He's already fallen into my trap. Okay, bet. I'm excited then. So if you go queen to f3, black, the only way to survive without the king getting exploded, you have to go queen f3. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, you would have to block. But if he can set that up. You weren't looking at that? Okay. So the line. Yes, exactly. Threatening to take and end the game, but black would go here. What are there ways to counter this? Because being good at chess, playing as a Beth Metz is selecting a moderator. Being a good chess player is best. But also, King IC4 is great. He's been a regular here for ages. En passant. Is it forced? The king would have to move. After queen f3. But en passant is forced. Decisions. How will this continue? Zigzy down to 52 seconds. Running low. Exchange in the center with en passant. The queen has fallen. Blocks with the pawn. The bishop retreats, attacking the pawn on c2. If he takes, the queen will fall. The queen does not fall. The pawn, the pawn on e7 is threatened. Attacks. This could be devastating. This could be devastating for the black position. If that bishop is taken, the pawn will also fall. Oh, but then black would have the opportunity to castle, which is crazy. Do you take the bishop here? Can you take the bishop here? Oh man, pawns don't explode. Oh, even if you take him with a queen? Really? My apologies. You're down to 10 seconds. You need to make a move. Zigzy, you're running low. He pushes the pawn to d5. Oh man. This game is electric. You are running low on time. You need to make your moves fast. Is king xe4 going to win atomic chess on time? Do you really want that? Is that what your legacy wants to be? Oh man. Outstanding deflection. Oh shit. Check. Both bishops fall. Bishop to c8, threatening to remove virtually all of the pieces of black's corner. Everything is gone. Blocks with the knight. Zigzy now playing at rapid speed. Castles. Is king xe4 going to be able to clutch this one up? Brings the rook over. Gives a check. Is the game. That's game. Zigzy with a phenomenal tie, tying the championship at 2-2. It goes to a final five, final fifth match. Oh my goodness. It is time. It is time for the finale. Okay. All right. Zigzy with a clutch of a century. Outstanding play. What a game. All right. Now, what will be the final game? What will be game number 5? All right. Both of them are comfortable with setup chess. It will give king xe4 an advantage because he has played the game before. Setup chess it is. All right, let's get it. It is time for some setup chess. Customize. Invite players. I meant to make it unrated. Shit, I need to wait. Invite players. Now it will be a random draw of who gets white and who gets black. I have a number behind my back. Zigzy. I need you to choose 1 or 2. If you pick the number, you will have the white pieces. It is behind my back. Also, it is number 1. King xe4 takes the white pieces. And the final match. Zigzy will play with the black pieces. King xe4 takes white. Okay. The time is 5 minutes with 2 seconds back. Please, no screen peeking. Do not look at the stream, okay? No cheating. Also, thank you for the follow, for the King. All right. The game shall begin. All right. We will see. Now, they can't see each other, but they can see my screen if they choose to look at it. So please, do not look. This is absurd. What the f*** is happening? Oh my god, I love it. I love it. This will be electric. Oh man. I don't believe y'all can see each other. Dude, what? This is going to be amazing. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited for this for this to go down. Holy cow, dude. Oh my goodness. All right. All right, lads. Let the game commence. This is setup chess. You have a certain number of points, and you can set up the pieces however you would like. Both have chosen an absolute armada of pawns. I'm gonna be so real, this is absurd. And the game begins with c5. King xe4 responds with h4. How will the game progress? This is insane. Nah, you mean the setup, brother? What this is finale right here, man. This decides who gets mod for my channel. FYI. Yeah, nobody did do the all bishop strat, but that's all right. We will see. Ziggsy taking his time to make his second move. He goes calculating this. Okay. Imagine this actually turns to a normal endgame and Ziggsy just wins it. That could very well happen. I need to put my hat back on. Where did it go? All right. Ziggsy plays d5. Why do we have increment though? Ah, it's just 2 seconds. It ain't that biggie. Responds with g4. We will see this. This will be absurd. Hydrate. I appreciate you, brother. We will drink up. F4. Each opponent advances their 3 outermost pawns, except for, well, okay, technically no, but 2 seconds is a lot. Screw you. Actually, I take that back. Don't screw you. But 2 seconds is fine. All right. I know you want to play the clock, but come on, man. Breaking open the king side of the board. Ziggsy is now up 1 pawn. King xe4, I already think, is dominating the position. Really ripping away at the defenses of the black king. Oh, but Ziggsy might be able to lock the position. But it is getting tricky. Ziggsy knows. Cager is a meanie. I'm not that mean. I'm like a little bit mean, but like jokingly. All right. Ziggsy down to 4 minutes. What must he decide to do? So he can try to lock the position, but then he'll have double pawns in front of his king. And that rook, if that rook opens up, you don't tell people to screw off, only I can. Hey, I respect it. I respect that. You know what? Everyone is entitled. Giving me a heart attack. You wanted to be dictator? Hey, technically there's 2 other moderators on the channel, man. Technically. But they don't really come by much. Hey, CPL, you can't be the dictator. All right. It will have to be, we're going to make a Senate. And now my entire channel is banned. Okay, let's continue. Do you play? No, you can't. Okay. This will be amazing. Ziggsy and regular chess is 2300. King xe4 is 1800. A very solid rating. But will the understanding of Ziggsy about his 700 points increase of chess elo be enough for him to take this on? I guess not 700. It's only 600. It's like 530, I guess. But will it be enough to really understand the ins and outs and the weeds of this position? This will be interesting. Hint of racism right here. You wish this was 1 plus 0. That would be diabolical. That would actually be insane. That might have been a good idea, but we'll see. All right. So the pawn develops to g4. Bingo! Okay. Ziggsy drops his knight back. The pawn pushes, locking the position with the knight. If you capture, that pawn will become an anchor, but I think you take with the knight. Ooh. Opens up the position. Just a little bit down the center. See, the one thing about the bishops is that it's quite difficult to use them when there are 17,000 pawns on the board, all scattered. Also, the time lead that King xe4 has could very well carry into a momentum that will win him the game. Now Ziggsy is pushing down the left side of the board trying to attack the king. The pawn is pressured, but it's defended by the knight, breaking down the position with pawn to b4. Yeah, that's the move. I found it. But king xe4 striking in the center with d4. Okay, we will see. Do you take? Do you open up the position just a little bit? Do you let his knight get into the game? No, you bring another knight in, making it difficult for him to use that critical e5 pawn break. That knight jumps strongly into the center. Is this going to be a game where one of the knights promote? Now the thing is, you have to notice, Zigzag, your knight on c6 is hanging. All of these pieces on the board, and that is hanging, which is crazy. Do you have to take? Is it forced? Can you defend? Do you drop back your knight? These are decisions they have to make rapidly. You have 2 minutes left. All right. You're going to have to go faster. The time very well could be a weapon, and it is going to. King x4 playing lightning fast, as he has done all day. In all of his games, he has been playing the knight hangs. Does he take? He does not. Ooh. Wow, this got close. And whoa! Using it as an umbrella pawn, but another knight falls. Moves are being played rapidly at this moment. The knight drops back. The other knight comes over to play defense. The pawn is pushed. Takes. And then another pawn falls. Moves are being made rapidly at this point in the game. Material is equal. And somehow. What is my guy talking about? I'm just yapping, brother. But now that bishop will be pinned to the king. Are you going to continue using the time? Goes for another pawn break. Doubles his bishops. Something I never thought I'd see. Going after the pawn. The pawn falls. Does he take? Is that a material advantage that you're willing to sacrifice for, I guess, having good bishops? I don't know. All right. There are a lot of pawn breaks that can happen here, and you do have to be cautious about about King xe4's passed pawn on the d file or the e file, because that pawn can promote, and a queen would be devastating. But frankly, it's very difficult to actually push here. All right, the knight drops back, probably going to try to blockade the passed e pawn. You actually misclicked f5. I don't remember f5. There has been 56 moves made in this game, which is crazy. And the next pawn advances on a5, coming to help its brothers. Pawn capture on b, okay. And is it going to go cx b4? It does. Is it going to go cx b4 again? Maybe. We'll see. Brings the king, a bold decision from Zigzag. Is he going to bring the king over to the center of the board now that more pieces have fallen? And that pawn finally falls. It has been hanging for the last few turns. But instead of trading the bishops, he moves his knight to try to take advantage of the holes that he has poked inside the position. He has tripled pawns down the b file. Is that going to be something that he can manage? The knight is hit. Where does the knight go? Where does the knight go? Is the pawn in the center is going to fall? The knight has to move. It takes. Brilliant. But now that pawn will fall. And it does. Maybe. Possibly. Do take. I don't know. Because but counter threats the pawn on e5, which can be devastating. But another pawn will fall. And the board has cleared out. Goodness. This is coming down to the wire for the first Cager's Chess Championship. Who will win this? Material is equal, which is, or basically equal. No. Yes? Maybe. Gives a check. The knight hangs. Do you block with the bishop? Do you have to block with the bishop? What is the decision? The knight doesn't technically hang if you bring the other knight back, but is that what you want to do? He blocks with that bishop. Okay. Keeping the pressure on that diagonal. The king has nowhere to go, but how do you checkmate? You don't have a rook. There was a fork? Probably. Yeah, dude. This is very close. Who will be mod of my channel? This could very well end in a draw. But I feel like three bishops could... I don't know. I really don't know. It is anybody's game at this point in time. Now, is there a fork? Is there a fork of knight to... If the knight comes here, is this devastating? I guess you would have to drop back here, counterattacking, but then you can bring it up. What do you do? Having more pawns is useful? Yeah, but they're tripled. It could be useful, but goes for the trade. But is there knight? Is there knight to D3? Knight to E3? Is this move? Does it work? The bishop is pinned, and you could take this one. Does this idea work? Is that the key decision? There's also a check that you can give, and another check over here. Wrong piece. I believe. I believe you did have. No, you didn't have this check because of the knight. I apologize. Okay, we continue. Now, Zigzee with four minor pieces against King X E4's rook and knight and three doubled pawn, three doubled pawns. No, tripled pawns down the B file. The king has nowhere to go. How do we proceed? This is down to the wire. Zigzee with 22 seconds on the clock. I haven't looked at the clock recently, but it can get very close. If King X4 is able to abuse the clock here, Zigzee's going to have to make some very quick decisions. And I know that knight can jump around. That knight can be very tricky. Anchoring that rook into the center of the board. I will drink some water, thank you. All right. Decisions must be made here. Is the threat bishop here attacking this pawn? Is that the idea? Is that the critical move? Yeah, this also works. This is also the thing that I said. Attacking this. He defends. Doubles the bishop on this attack. Is there any way to stop it? Is he going to win that pawn and then fork the rook? Is this going to be GG's? Takes. The game is coming to a close. Oh, right, yeah, it could be an automatic draw if both knights come off. Yeah, that's actually very true. Does not take. Check. This is electric. But the knight hangs. Bring the bishop back. Takes the pawn. But then oh, never mind. The bishop doesn't hang. This, dude, is this gonna go down to whether or not you understand a bishop and knight checkmate? Holy shit! And he has 10 seconds left on the clock. Oh man, this is gonna go. This is gonna get very tight. Drops the bishop back. Attacks the knight. Knight gives a check. Zigzee has 88 seconds left. And the thing is, I guess it would be insufficient material, wouldn't it? If and that is a forced draw, isn't it? I don't believe there is any way to checkmate here. And if this is a draw, which are two bishops going to be a draw? We will see. Two of the same colored bishops. That's the difficulty, though. Yeah. I'm not sure how this will... Same colored bishop is a draw. And then the king can just rotate back and forth. Well... I believe this is just a shuffle. Yeah, you just got to sit in the dark square corner in the back. I'm not sure if there's a way to win this. But he is sure as hell trying. All right. Yeah, it's going to be stalemate. Well, we will continue. Hey, if you wanna take a draw, my idea is that we run this back, but it's bullets. 1 minute, zero time back. Please accept the draw. For the love of God, Ziggsy. I beg you. Please. For it is a draw. There is no way to win this. Stalemated. Lovely. All right. We are going to run this back. 1-1? Yes. And this will be the final match, hopefully, maybe, possibly. I will reinvite. It is now going to be, the time control will be 1 minute, 1 second bonus time. This will be rapid, okay? Or I guess it will be bullet. I will give now Ziggsy the white pieces. Let's begin. It has come down to this. Ziggsy with the white pieces. King xe4 with the black. Bullet brawl. 1 minute, 1 second bonus time in setup chess to decide the winner of the Cager Chess Championship, the first annual Cager Chess Championship, sponsored by Cager Chess Championship. Thank you for DePoli for coming up with the name, by the way. I know this is the setup. Ziggsy going for the same setup. I'm not going to say anything, actually. I can't actually speak on this. Okay. Ziggsy trying to get as much time as possible, placing his moves in this. Yeah, okay. This will be lightning. This will be electric. Annual. Yes. All right. And the game begins. This will be electric. Holy shit. Oh, yeah, but Ziggsy is on the same side. That is true. No, okay. I was trying to avoid saying annual because of that. No, it will happen like monthly, but annual sounds better. Okay. Yeah, this will be fast. I would just enjoy the show because this is a head to head matchup, man, of titans going after the loose pawn on b5. King c4 defends it. The knight reroutes. I'm gonna not know that the rooks are so bad in setup chess. Okay, y'all, chill with that. 3 pieces are now attacking the pawn. The pawn is lost if he takes. The exchange occur. Ziggsy is now up a pawn. Is there an infiltration? Ooh. I'm curious to know if there was bishop to e8 there. That would have been very interesting. I don't believe there was. All right, so the knight comes out to a3. Trying to put pressure on the position. King xe4 now being the one down on the clock. A complete reversal of the last game. Ziggsy now playing with aggression that I have not seen before in my humble days as a 22-year-old child. All right. King xe4 trying to play as fast as he can, trying to limit his inaccuracies and blunders, but there is nothing yet. King xe4 attacking the holes in the white position. The weakness on the white light squares. Rerouting the knight back. Will a pawn break occur? Do you capture in the center? You bring the knight down there. Okay. The knight is now anchored on that square. Very hard to remove. Pawn push in the center. The center is getting closed. Fully closed. Is this a mistake by Ziggsy, as he's the one with the bishops? The knights will be able to jump around. Ziggsy now trying to trade off the knight who has gone wandering into the position. Fantastic. But that bishop is going to get stuck. But you cannot defend that pawn. That pawn will fall. And that will put Ziggsy up 2 pawns in this super close position. And he takes. Takes back. The position is opening up slowly on the king side of the board. The king comes to the center. Always good in endgames. And the rook just shuffles to the center. I'm not sure what to do. King xe4 down to 23 seconds. Ziggsy up to 40. Ziggsy with a 20-second lead in this position. This could be huge. King xe4 now just shuffling pieces. Both players trying to decide what to do. And a pawn break, a crucial pawn break in the position. And takes. That. Now that the rook is trapped in the corner, this side of the board is opening up. And the bishop now has an escape. And the knight comes in to replace the bishop where it wants to be. Where it wants to be, yes. And the king comes down to the center. Goes for the pawn breaks on that side of the board. The knight drops back. But that pawn is going. Are you going to be able to... And he anchors the pawn. Yeah, he anchors the knight. Completely stops it. But is the knight going to be able to jump in? Or is the pawn going to be lost? Can you defend that pawn if the bishops are doubled? Is another pawn going to fall? But you got to be cautious. A bishop is blundered on the side of the board. He's going to fall. But can you even take? Because then your bishop will be pinned. That's a check. The knight is now anchored in the center of the board. Zigzy with a monstrous comeback. Zigzy now taking a pawn on the side of the board with a huge material lead. Can't trade off the knight with the bishop. Drops back. The knight is no longer pinned. Zigzy now looking for tactics. And that pawn is going to fall. Zigzy with a monstrous storm going down. He is now up a lot of material. King xe4 down to 11 seconds on the clock. Now shuffling pieces. Can Zigzy find the win here? I mean, probably going to. All right, that's a fork. He loses the rook. Now you've got to hope that there is no stalemate on the board. Because if a stalemate is found, that would be tragic. Trades off the knight. Drops back. Pieces are flying off the board. Now you could if you want to, you could just go and promote the pawn. This is a finished game. The knight was hanging there for a move, but he chooses not to take it. And the pawn goes to promote. King xe4 now trying to find a stalemate. But the game will end shortly. And that... I think there was checkmate on the board in one. It is almost there. The mate will be found. Eventually. The checkmate will be found. And that is the end of the first ever TheCager's Chess Championship. Zigzy winning it all in a best-of-5 variant matchup. Holy cow, what a game, dude. Oh, man. Well played to all of those involved. Thank you for coming out. This was... Sorry, King xe4, but you have lost. Zigzy will now become a moderator. Zigzy, 66. A big round of applause to everyone who showed out. Zigzy absolutely stopping the competition. It got very close, though, but clutching up in Atomic Chess and then clutching up here in Setup Chess for the win. Fantastic. Fantastic all around. Absolutely beautiful. All right. And now I shall go here and crown Zigzy the winner. Zigzy, you have won. Oh, this is actually just completely wrong. Hold on. Oh no. Oh goodness. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Lovely. Yay, Zigzy wins. Zigzy, congratulations. This was electric and actually a whole lot of fun. Yeah. Yep. You're mod. Let's go, baby. Fantastic. All right. I do think I have to hop off now for the stream, but this has been fantastic. But I do got to get going. I have some things I got to take care of, but this will absolutely be a reoccurring thing on the channel. This was a lot of fun. I just really did have a blast with this, but all right. Peace out, y'all. This was a fantastic stream. I hope you have a good one. And I'll see you on Wednesday. I'm not going to be able to stream Monday or Tuesday because I do have exams coming up, but all right. Peace out, y'all. Have a good one. It's been a pleasure.